Call meeting to
We
order.
did not start before 6:30.
You wanna sit at the table?
Exactly. I didn't.
I'm fine.
Okay.
All right.
I'm getting the camera.
All right,
Thanks.
okay, let's go in order here. Article 1, Keith.
I'll move it.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, anything?
No, it's an annual article.
And, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right. 2 is also Keith.
Yeah, I'll move it as written.
Second?
Second.
Straightforward.
Yep. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right. Mark, why don't you just second everything that, you know,
Okay.
that way I can just, because I am secretary right now.
I'll second.
Susan?
Article 3, I'll move as written.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
The changes in here are to add funds for the animal inspector and for the sealer of weights and measures. Interesting facts I learned from Mr. Bresco earlier this week. The sealer of weights and measures used to be paid for by the Commonwealth, and now our population is such that they will no longer pay for it, so
Yeah, right.
we are required to pay for it, so.
You have
What's the
it-
number,
you have it signed?
25,
We could get one.
28? Did we just pop over? Is that, I know you mentioned it at the
It
joint
was,
meeting.
actually, it was 20,000 is the
Yeah. We told you, yeah.
demarcation, and they didn't catch us until we were like almost 26, 27.
I remember when we started that, we couldn't get
Anyway,
anybody to fill
at
it.
this point, we're required to have the position and fund the position,
All
so.
right, gotcha.
Hi.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay. Okay, Article 4.
Article 4, I will move as written.
Second.
All right. Any conversation?
Nope.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, all right. Okay, Article 5, we might go through these if you want.
Sure, you want me to
Um,
go through?
Yeah, why don't you?
Okay.
So maybe I talked about this all the time, but there's only a few that I had questions, so the bigger number things, but you can, you know.
I just figured I'll quickly
Yeah.
go through, just so everyone's familiar.
Yeah.
So, Select Board, just so folks know what that is, Beverly Wiedemann is retiring at the end of the year, so we have to go out and hire, we have to hire a new manager for the office, so we're doing that. Kate's gonna move up, if she got hired for that, it's interviewed. Then we're gonna hire a person to replace Kate, then we're gonna have that person in for a couple of months to be able to train, and then when you retire, we pay people for their vacation, sick time, personal time, so that's what the 40,000 is. Professional services, that's money that I need to have. Things come up during the year, we have to have professional services. We might need something surveyed, we might need a 21E done, things like that, so that's what that covers. Any of these that we don't spend, these all go to a GL, and as the advisory board knows, whatever doesn't get spent just rolls to free cash.
Right.
On police salary and wages, that's the cover, you know, it's tight this year, there's a lot of, you know, sickness with COVID and stuff like that, so we have to cover the overtime. Same thing with fire, the 150,000 for them will allow them to run the ambulance 10 hours a day, 7 days a week during the middle part of the day shift, so we'll be able to get the 30 ambulance back with that. Fire stipends and maintenance, that's the fire department does a lot of their, they have 2 certified mechanics, and these are stipends for them. There's a breakdown on
That's fine.
fire. Let me just give it, because I do have it here, I had the chief send it over to me. So 10,000 to offset labor costs associated with the fire department mechanics performing emergency repairs, 5,000 to offset increased costs associated with the equipment, parts, supplies, and labor conducted by outside vendors, and 10,000 to offset costs associated with quality improvement and quality assurance activities as they relate to the ambulance. So that's what that covers. I lost my place here. Yes, sir.
Well, if you got the number 7, I did have a long talk with Karen on the increase.
Oh, the veterans, yeah, that's, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Let's see,
Please.
6, you would,
150,000, that's for gas, diesel fuel.
how long is that contract for? When we bid? You're bidding, right?
We bid, but this is just to cover out, this is to cover the increase.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying, how long does it last? You buy 2 months, 3 months?
150,000, how
No,
much?
how do you, no, when you go out to
They
buy.
just go, when the tank gets empty, the DPW fills the tank.
Oh, so there's no set time?
No,
Okay.
it depends how quickly they go through it. You know, if in the winter they go through it a lot more because they use the big trucks, those big dump trucks. They have a half a dozen of those out on the road. I think they get like 8 miles to the gallon.
They saw a place on buying gas now, went up this way. They went
Oh,
down.
did it? Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
On the Veterans Park, the $7,775 is for additional maintenance costs, fertilizer, weeding, and anything else that you
Well,
want to do.
Karen explained that they're gonna have to put a whole new fence in there. And that the new caretaker discovered that Barney, in his wisdom, had tried not, he tried to salvage everything, and for safety, you just need, she's gone from 775 to, I think, 16. You need the new fence and the other things to bring it, and God bless Barney, he tried, and the new fellow in there, you know, and it's a showpiece of town, let's face it, when you come into town,
Right.
that's what you
Right.
see. And that's a nominal fee for what they do, and that's essentially the increase, especially the
Yeah.
fence has
Yes,
to be replaced.
yeah, a large portion, that's the fence, and the
Yeah,
other is
they do the whole
the
thing.
additional weeding and stuff like that.
And Barney deserves
They basically do
kudos
nothing.
for all he did for
Yeah.
nothing.
Right, yeah.
No, he got paid too, he didn't.
He
do
got
No,
it.
paid.
no, I don't mean that, but
Yeah.
he did a lot of work.
Yeah.
I know he got
Oh,
paid,
yeah,
yeah.
he just did, yeah, it was a labor of
He got a lot of
love.
money for what he did.
Yeah,
Number 8, utility, oil, gas, and electric. We all saw that electric went up, is going up 60, oil's going up 40, and so that's the bridge our gap on our utilities.
Yep.
CRS pamphlet is the community rating system for our insurance. That's a brochure that we give to the realtors, so the people that are buying property by the water understand what they're buying. Hazard mitigation plan, and we had a meeting today, we're working with the feds in the state, Woods Hole's our consultant. Hazard mitigation plan is a plan that we have in place, so if there's a disaster, what are the areas that we have to protect? What are the utilities that we have to protect? How do we do it? How do we warn people? What kind of warning signals do we have? You know, things like that, so that's a plan that we're in the process of updating. School maintenance and town maintenance, it is what it is. That's, you know, that money Fred operates as our facility director.
Yep.
You know, that's, you know, fixing broken windows, broken doors, broken toilets, painting, touch-up, gluing floor, fixing rugs, broken screens, pads and things in the gym, things like that. Cleaning contract, we went out to bid, we have a new cleaning company. If you go into the men's room, it's, not that women would go in there, if you went to the men's room, I didn't even know the tile was that yellow. They gave it a good washing.
Wow.
So we went out to bid, and they're 60,000 higher. They were the lowest bid, but 60,000 higher than the original contract we had.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's important, you know, the bathrooms need to be cleaned every single day.
Oh, yeah.
And trash we do every other day, so try to be economical.
It's easier hiring somebody to take care of the labor, because you can't get anybody to work.
No, that's the thing. We have no one
People
wants
don't
to-
understand that.
No. Airport FAA grant match, it's about a $6.5 million project. The town has to do the match for $350. We're not adding any additional runways or anything, it's just resurfacing what's there, it's an FAA requirement. So we have to
Like we did
cover
say
that.
that they will be there at the town meeting because I know it's.
Yes, I asked them to be there, yes, because I'm sure that we'll get a lot of questions.
yes, you
From a
will.
couple of people.
Correct. Over to the next one. Tree cutting, so we have a lot of conservation land, we have over 4,000 acres in conservation, and neighbors are really, over the last few years, are starting to get upset because we do a terrible job of maintaining the land. Trees come down, especially during winter storms, they knock power lines down, they were dead, they're not inspected, so this 15,000, although it's modest, will get us started. This will either cover some overtime for DPW to go in and cut the trees. If they're really big, we have to hire a professional with a big crane to go in and cut the trees. But at least we're making an attempt, and we're gonna start in geographical locations. Because it's conservation land, they have to go through conservation process, they gotta get a permit to be able to go in and do that. Police vests expire after 5 years, so we buy them in increments every 5 years, so.
How many would that pay for?
25, I think.
So they rotated every few years?
Yep.
Okay.
Harbor Master boat equipment, like anything else, the boat came in expensive. We had to go without some of the pieces of equipment that he wants, so this is covering those costs. The Harbor Master ramp and ice, one of the third ports now that have an ice machine. We got a grant for a $90,000 ice machine, but we have to, like any other person doing renovations, we have to comply with the floodplain, so we have to raise it 4 feet in the air, put a ramp, put stairs, and a chute, so that's what that's covering. School generator electrical, that is, and I think everyone got the package I mailed out to everyone.
Last night, yeah.
So that's to cover the 4 generators, Governor Winslow, Daniel Webster, Amesway, South River. That's for the generator and the electrical cost to make the school.
Question, the
Yes, sir.
number was higher on,
It's a little higher than the, yeah, we'll
Okay.
cover that with some of the infrastructure money that we have. Yes, sir. I know, because some people said it was rounded off, did I cut that number out, but we did actually have the numbers. Grant Rock final design, anyone lives in Grant Rock, that's referred to as the bull nose. And the bull nose, as Tom explained it to me, instead of being rounded, it sort of goes off to keep the traffic flowing way over and then down. And this plan will also include some sidewalks if you're heading to the high road on the left-hand side. So those are the plans, and then we'll,
did they ever look at when the Equalizer 2 came in and they did that little rotary type of a thing? Did they ever think like, hey, that'd be good to
some of
keep it
the
all there?
people, some of the people wanted to, at the end there, put like, I forget what you call them, the Coast Guard puts them in the channel markers, one of those big,
Okay.
but that would be a traffic nightmare, Tom said, and a real problem when it plowed. The bullnose actually works better because bullnose looks like this, it's sort of rounded, and then this piece comes off like that. Somehow they say that's a bullnose. I don't know. I'm not an artist, that's not one of my specialties. So that's what that is.
I'm not playing Pictionary with you. That's not very good.
DPW stormwater mapping, one of the things that DPW's been investing in, and that is getting their plans to match. And what they're actually doing is they're mapping where all the water pipes are. And this will cover some of the technology to continue to do that. DPW crane, this is a crane that will lift the sand components off of the big dump trucks. So the dump trucks that plow have those big yellow machines, those have to be lifted out with a crane. And they need a new crane, so this will cover the cost of that.
Is that stationary, or?
It actually goes on a big piece of steel, and it slides back and forth.
Yeah.
So it can
But
just
it's
back
like
and,
installed?
it's, yeah, it's
not like a
installed into the
mobile-
building, right, yeah. It's affixed to the building, yeah. Veterans Wall maintenance, so in the South Veterans Park, the other park, we have the Veterans Wall of Honor. This is gonna update, clean that wall, correct names that are wrong, and add new names, and some maintenance around the footings, etc.
Karen had, she had broken it down and said, you know, 6,000 would be spent over 3 years for the cleaning, and then they had 5,000. She wanted me to bring this up for letters. In other words, they don't know how many people are gonna have their names, so this 5,000 can be used to add names to the wall, so.
And correct the ones that are spelled wrong. Library rug, so the rug is the original rug that's in there, and we wanted to replace it. It's one of those things we've been trying to do for a number of years now. Of course, when you do anything, you always have to check for asbestos. It was hot. It's the glue that held the tiles down underneath. So in order to take the rug up, you have to comply with the law. So, you know, now that the testing company said we have no choice but to do it because we know that there's asbestos there, it's hot. So the library's slowest period of time is the second week of December until the end of January. We're hoping to get it done in the 4 weeks and then be open by mid-January, but if need be, because it's quite the process. So the reason for the cost, the asbestos removal is about 180, the rug's about 200,000, and then it's about 75,000 to have a moving company come in, pack all the books, move the books, take the racks down, disassemble them, move them, and then it's the reverse coming back.
What happens to all the people working there when you're closed?
They work, it's not our fault, so they'll be in and
They'll do something,
do inventory, clean the books.
yeah.
Library generator, so we had the generator that was at the police station, that was about 8 years old, I didn't want to waste it, so we moved it over to the library. And we have to go through permitting with Concom for that, we have to build a special platform, we have to meet the height requirements because of being so close to the water, so $75,000 for that.
So that will that give us another place for people to go?
They can, but we use the library, we've used the library in the past with power without, because that's on the downtown grid, and a lot of those lines are under, that's always open, so
Okay,
this, for that storm on the 29th, I used that, and we used that as a cooling center when we had the severe heat, we used the
Okay.
library, and what people, it was just, anyone could go in there, and then in the winter, we use it for charging stations, people go in there and charge their cell phones.
well, I know that.
Fred's got these big yellow strips that you
Yeah.
can plug in like 10 cell phones at one time,
Okay.
so we use that. So that's another building we'll be able to use. Utility truck, this is a replacement of a utility truck for the water department, paid out of water retained earnings. A utility truck is like a functional, it's a little different than a pickup truck. It has additional shelving capacity on the back end of it. This is water mapping, we had talked about water mapping earlier, and this is some additional water mapping, they're using some of their water retained earnings for that technology. Item number 28 is, they're putting a new water main on Dyke Road. And that's $125,000 out of retained earnings. They had to purchase a new camera truck. The TV camera truck is not for them to film movies, but it's, they put the camera down in the, people ask that question.
Really?
Yeah, but they put the camera down into the sewer, not that anyone wants to go into the sewer.
Right.
So they send the camera and the camera truck, and the other one's pretty well rotted, so it's $125
It's the
for
whole
that.
TV part of the label.
Yes,
If you just called it a camera truck. no
Camera
matter
truck,
what it is.
right, no. Ray pack heater, this is like one of those big blower heaters. They're putting this in a pump station. Actually not a pump station, they're putting it in wastewater center. The other one's the water pump, which is going in one of the pump areas. Replacement of a water pump in one of those little houses to pump the sewer. And finally,
Anybody also should have an opportunity to go down the Harbor Road, and those two little white buildings, go in the first one, and go down 3 stories and see what's there. That's where all the sewage comes.
oh, you can go into the main sewer plant.
Well, but this is even worse, because this,
I'm gonna have that.
she won't go.
Hey, potato top.
That is true, it is a life-altering experience. And you pray that
Not
nothing
afraid.
breaks while you're there.
Oh, I'm
And
afraid.
finally, the excavator. So the excavator is the big truck that moves all the trash around when you
Yeah.
go to the transfer, and also loads the trash into all the trailer trucks. The other one's constantly breaking down, so they needed to buy another one. That's being paid for out of solid waste retained earnings. So in total, they're spending $3,658,216 in free cash. 2983216 come out of free cash on the general government side. 195,000 out of water retained earning free cash. 225,000 out of wastewater retained earning free cash, and 255,000 solid waste retained earnings free cash.
I'm just curious on the excavator, are they retiring the existing one, or are they just gonna keep it?
We may keep it as a backup, or we may sell it. We'll have to see what we can get on the market. We usually like to sell Lisa and Patrick before Lisa. We would sell most of the
Yeah.
stuff, even if it didn't work, people would sell it.
Yeah,
We sold a fire truck that broke down, just as, remember that fire truck we
Yeah.
sold a few years ago?
Yeah.
It broke down, we had to get Uchetti's to go out there and get it running, and the guy drove it off.
I think I moved Article 5 as written, but I didn't. I moved Article 5 as written.
Second.
Any discussion further? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Article 6, which is Carlos's, I have a email here from Tom Miller to summarize the conversation. The purchase price ended up being at 1.025 million. The list was 1.425, initial offer was 1.2, which seller accepted after inspection. Offer was reduced to 950, seller countered 1.1, counter of 1.025 was accepted. The initial rough estimated for repairs mitigation was 600 from Fred Russell with assistance from a couple of consultants. That was revised to 450. So that's what they're looking at for that. Anything else on that? Actually,
what's the
I'll move
total?
Article 6.
Yeah, what's the total number?
I've got 1.025.
That's the total.
And then the 450 was repairs and mitigation. I'm not exactly sure if that's included in that article. This is,
I would think they would do.
You might want to hold off on the final number because that's the number I have today,
1.86.
1.86.
Why don't you just vote to
Okay.
pass the article so we don't have to come back and do
Yeah,
it?
sure, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah,
Because we're not gonna quibble over.
right, then we can figure, because it's 30
Yeah.
years.
Couple $100,000 there,
Right.
$100,000 there, all right. Moved Article 6 is written, I had a second.
Second, whatever.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Tom, do I
Opposed?
need to,
Do you need to abstain?
recuse myself from that?
You don't get paid by the building, do you?
Pardon me?
You get paid by the building?
No, but her son, yeah, you
No,
probably,
he's the chair of
I would
this.
recuse from anything school related.
Okay. There you go.
If you don't mind my
No,
advice.
not at all.
Sherry, would you like to abstain?
I would.
There you go.
Thank you.
Look at us getting stuff done. All right, Article 7 is Mark.
No, I have to. And
Mark
Mark,
Sylvie.
which-
Right next to Mark, I have Donnie, so there you go, look at that. Pay
I move
attention.
the article is written.
All right. Any discussion?
This is, if you just because
This is
people are
generator.
watching, this
Yeah.
is a great thing. You know, we have our elderly people living at Grace Ryder and T-Rock, and there are no generators, so in storms, what makes it really dangerous is you have people with the oxygen machines that need to
Right.
plug in. We've had to get ambulances up there, we've had to move those to other places, so finally, we're gonna put generators, the housing authority is gonna put generators with the assistance of community preservation.
I think there was 120 units in T-Rock, the community preservation said, and 40 in Grace Ryder, so they're vulnerable people. And I think from what I understand it, these generators would provide power in the gyms or the lodge. It wouldn't be individual rooms, it'd be an area where everybody could congregate and then be protected.
Okay.
Awesome. Any further discussion on 7? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Article 8, Donnie?
I move the article as written.
Second.
This article is still a little bit up in the air because they have to wait, they're still waiting for the results to come back on testing the soil, but there shouldn't be any issue with them. So should the results not be here at town meeting, then Mike will pull the article. If they are here and they're positive, then it would go forward, and the only thing that's gonna occur there, we've walked it, if there's trees or vegetation on the pathway, they'll cut them down. Then there'll be stone dust for the trail, and any other vegetation that comes off on the sides will stay there. It's the only thing they're gonna touch. Harbor Master will clean up the place. There are security cameras in place should people have comments about, you know, this. So I mean, I walk the Harbor Walk all the time, and you're like in civilization there, cross the street, and in 2 minutes, you're in the wilderness. It's beautiful. You've gone down this year, you know, and then you come back and you're out at this, anyway. I move it as written, that Mike got it all covered.
Great. Any further
What's the soil being tested for?
Well, it came from the harbor, from previous
Do you
dredging.
want me to
Yeah,
jump
yeah.
in on this? So what happened, that's a great question, Susan. So, over the years, dredge spoils go in there, so you have the option whenever you dredge, you can either do offshore disposal, or you can do it on-site or on-land disposal. They've been using that area since they put the sewer plant in. They dug that out, and the base of that is peat from where the sewer plant sits now. But it's being tested because a lot of people are concerned that when they were testing 40 or 50 years ago, they weren't testing for the same things they test today. But the reason I just wanted to explain this is it's been tested. Whatever DEP required for testing to go in there has always been done. So as a safety precaution, we had DEP come out early this spring. And, you know, they didn't see anything abnormal on anything. They reviewed the stuff, and we just all decided that we would have it tested, and we're pretty sure that it would come back fine.
And it's just because we're digging it up and moving it around?
Well, we're not even yet. They
Not
just want to,
really.
yeah, we're not really digging too much up.
Abundance
When
of
he makes the
caution.
parking lot, it's just flattening it. It's not
Yeah,
disturbing what's way down there, so. But they came in, DEP did a grid, and they did core samples,
Yeah.
and then sent the stuff out.
Better safe than sorry.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And if the results aren't in by town meeting,
Then he'll pull the article
they'll pull the
again.
article
Yep.
till the spring.
Great, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained. Okay, Article 9, Sherry?
I have that, okay. I move the article as written, and basically,
Discussion.
this, they were doing work on the Plymouth Ave project, and when they were doing this work, they opened one of the manholes on Second Road and discovered that the sewer pipe was gone, pretty much had eroded, and just the liner was left, and it needed immediate repair, so it was an emergency repair. You know, the pipes are very old and it just disintegrated. So they had $100,000 in an emergency line which covered the expense, and this money that they're asking for will reimburse the reserve fund that they used for the emergency repairs. Does that make sense?
We voted on that 100 in like June and July. Right? Okay. Great, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. All right, Article 10.
Okay, I move this article as written. This money
Mark?
was,
Second.
oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Johnny Deach, you know what, I gotta take the M off on, put a DM. Sorry. I interrupted you. My bad.
That's okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
I jumped ahead.
I made a mistake and I was relying on Mark. That's on me, that's on me.
Lesson learned,
Yeah.
lesson learned.
Oh, okay, so this money was originally intended to pay for the Spring Street project, okay? Project was completed and the money was unexpended. So what they'd like to do is to transfer that unexpended money to pay for the repairs on the Dyke Road water main that crosses over that bridge, or crosses under the bridge. Okay.
Okay.
And I guess there's a little bit more here too. This was bypassed in April.
Yeah.
This was bypassed in April. It's the same amount of money that they had originally asked for, but I guess they couldn't use that money. They were gonna use it for Surf Ave, but Surf Ave was covered by the ARPA funds. So the money is still sitting there, and now they'd like to use it for the Dyke Road funds.
I wonder if we'll get any questions on that, class, the 125 plus the 151.
I'm sure we will.
Sure, we will. All right, any further discussion on Article 10? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Article 11,
I move the article as written.
have a second?
Second.
So this, in the spring town meeting, we approved a $3 million borrowing for the Plymouth Ave project. They've used $2 million of it. They want to reallocate the last $1 million. They've identified, I think, 5 categories of projects that are in urgent need. I got a list from Tom Reynolds of what they want to do with the $1 million, but it's basically repairing sewer pipe that is in need of significant repairs. Half a million at Ashburn Avenue, which is the oldest sewer line in town, and they're concerned that if they don't do it in the short term, we'll have a repeat of what happened in Plymouth Ave. There's also $150,000 for a similar type of repair on Island Street, $210,000 for emergency repairs on Westbrook Street, Johnson Terrace, MacArthur Lane, and then $140,000 across a few streets in Bryant Rock to do some needed repairs before the reconstruction of the Esplanade. The reason why I asked them why they wanted to use the $1 million to do it this way. It's basically timing. It's money they can get more quickly than applying for state funds or ARPA funds, which might not come in until the spring of 2024. So using this money, which is available, more available short term, they can get to these projects, which they considered to be important priorities.
Gotcha.
So is the Plymouth Ave project complete, or do
So,
they still need that
They,
million?
they still, well, they need more than $1 million. My understanding is.
So they're coming back to town meeting again for more than that even?
They intend, you might know this, but that's sort of related to the next article.
Okay.
Apparently, there's a pumping station that needs some, and there's 2.4 million in ARPA funds and other money coming from the state, and that they're going to use that source of fund to pay for the remainder of that project.
They only can do that if Article 12 passes,
Right,
because
and we'll talk
in
about
order
Article
to
12,
use, yeah, so.
to commingle.
you know,
So,
Tom-
but that's their plan. I understood from Tom, but this is a timing thing. Whereas they now have, they've done the applications. They have the ARPA funds available and state SRF funds available to complete the Plymouth Ave through those sources.
Right.
This is because it's a bond, approved bond, it can more quickly be reallocated to these other projects, which otherwise would take longer.
And then will they still apply for that other funding?
They already have, yeah, so they're
Okay.
using ARPA,
Just-
so just that, they have that million there. They weren't planning on doing Ashburton and those other streets, but when they saw how bad Plymouth Ave was and some of these other areas that they had to do, those were even older in the detail. What happens is they use the cement pipe,
Right.
Yeah.
and the bottoms of the pipe is what rots out
Yep.
from the acid sitting in there, and the water, there's some kind of chemical reaction. Tom got into this big, but they have the money, and it makes perfect sense now
It
to
does,
do
yeah.
those repairs. And then hopefully 12 will pass, because then they can commingle funds. They can use their sewer money, their water money, their SRF money, and ARPA funds, because the selectmen had approved 4 million, they use 1.7, which leaves 2.3 for this other project.
So I did get this summary of
That's
what they want.
excellent.
Do you want me to forward this to you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I'll forward it by email, just so you have that on the record, but this is the summary of what they plan to do with the $1 million.
That's great.
That's gonna be a great explanation for town meeting, because I'm sure people will
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? All right. Article 12, Mark.
I move the article as written.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So-
You know, Donnie, you missed it. It's Sherry.
Well, I want to give her a chance.
So as previewed, in order to commingle ARPA funds with other sources of money, including state funds, the town meeting has to approve the ability to commingle. This can be used for a bunch of projects, but in the short term, one of the projects is this Plymouth Ave pump, where we have 2.4 million from ARPA and 5.6 million from other sources. We want to use them in a single project. In order to do that under state law, we need to approve Article 12.
All right, obviously, I received somebody emailed me. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? All right, Article 13 is a resolution. As a matter of policy, we don't advise on that. Article 14 is mine. I'm a little confused. I'm going to, I talked to Michael, and then we got an email at the Bob. I haven't heard back, because if you
Bob,
remember from the joint meeting, Dan Carey had said that he thought it was a policy, but it's actually a bylaw. I think that's what he said. So, about getting water to these things.
I couldn't find it, I was looking, but so.
I think it's a great idea, and if they're gonna pay for the water, hold on a second, Doc. If they're gonna pay for the water and the water usage, I mean, I think that would preclude a lot of people saying, like, I want water too, because they'd have to come up with,
Right.
you know, the connection, which could be prohibitive in certain parts, but it'd be great if all these islands look like they wanna make this island look. So, without that knowledge of whether it's a bylaw, then we'd have to sort of like change the bylaw and then come back and do this, and I'm not sure quite honestly how to vote on this one.
Well,
You have something, Don?
We've talked with Tom, and their DPW's take, this would be a tremendous expense in the future. Well, at Plymouth Ave and Ocean Street, the hydrant was there. So the water from the main water main was there. But there were like 13 or 14 other similar type islands around town. And if they wanted the same thing, it would be a significant expense for the DPW to have to dig up the road and put all these pipes in, the pipes over there, and then the other infrastructure on these islands that are there. And so they're not in favor of this. I've seen it, it's beautiful, but.
Right, but if they're gonna pay for everything, then there's really not a charge incurred to the DPW, correct?
I think.
What happens if they give it up?
Well,
5 years down the road, then we're stuck with it.
yeah, but then you're just stuck with something
Well, you don't
that just
water.
gets turned off,
But
right?
I think you
I mean, it
you want
opens
to
up-
talk to Tom Reynolds and because I didn't mean to interrupt, but I mean, they were not, it looks great.
Yeah.
But then when you start looking at the minuses and the potential expenses, it's.
Well,
So, I have
Yeah,
another
make
question.
it.
Sure.
So, I think obviously would be beautiful,
Yep.
it would look great, would love it, but the cost of, I think he said, how many, Donny, islands, a dozen or so,
It's a dozen.
okay? Islands, all right, so this is one that they are going to have the irrigation system installed and they will maintain, but what about some of the other islands in town that may not be able to do that? Now, is it gonna become, is it a Pandora's box and opening up
Yeah.
the town?
right, I get you. The way this article was written, like, they were gonna pay for everything for the.
For this particular
for this
island,
particular
yes.
island. So I think we need almost like change the bylaw, or which is not what we do, but.
We should suggest, somebody should suggest, if they're really serious about this, they should come back at the annual town meeting
Yeah.
and work it over and
Yeah.
answer all these questions.
I
Yeah,
think that's.
And I think that's it, and to my point I was gonna make, well, later, I guess, I'll make it now, was that the petitioner, like, nobody showed up at the
Yeah,
joint meeting.
correct.
Right,
And now nobody's
right.
here today, so I think it's a great idea, I just don't, maybe
Yeah.
you're right to kick it down the zone. So
Yeah.
I'm going to not move Article 14 as written, and go to, not deny.
You can just table it.
Table it. You want to table it, or?
You can just table it, unless you want to vote, to do something with it. I don't think we have enough information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
All right,
we
let's
do
table
either.
this article, and we can actually vote on town meeting floor before.
Yeah.
But I would suggest,
What would you suggest, my friend?
post a meeting for like 6:45.
Right,
If anything comes up, we can vote on it, and we're in session.
gotcha.
We won't go out of session until town meeting's over
All right,
that night.
all right.
That's what I would suggest.
No, you're a smart guy, I'm lying.
Okay.
John,
I'm going to, yes.
there is something that has to do with the bylaw, too, he did mention that
Yeah.
as well, so you're right, that we,
Yeah, so perhaps.
We
We asked Bob, we asked Bob to
I haven't got, so, yeah. so
provide
that-
some clarity.
Okay, so we're gonna vote to, yes,
Yeah,
John?
I would also recommend you sit down with Tom Reynolds and have him fill you in on.
Well, I mean, I get there's a cost to it, but if the bylaw was written so that everyone, if you have that parcel of land that you're taking care of and you're gonna pay for everything, then I don't think there's because if you say, hey, listen, we have to rip up this pavement and it's gonna cost you $15,000, and people who do the law might go like, well, I can't afford that, I'll just, right, well, yeah.
Yeah, this is just,
I said, did I say 15? I said 150,000.
I don't wanna weigh into it, but that is, cause I've spent time with both Dave Carrier and with Tom on this, and I do know the veterans. What made that unique is that they were able to put water there was a hydrant there, so they put a spigot.
Yep.
But in the other places where there isn't, it would cost, you'd have to dig up, you'd have to run a
I
line.
mean, you can still do a lot without water,
Yeah.
with planting and stuff like that. So, okay, I'm gonna vote to table this.
You don't have to
You don't have to vote?
You don't have to vote. You can just table it.
Showed up again. All right. Okay, that was all I had on the agenda today, so thanks for coming, and
So don't forget to post something.
I'm gonna post something.
Did I,
Somebody remind me,
did I
post
get my
something.
wires crossed on the time? I thought, I went on the website and it said 7 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I never saw this until I walked, I mean, I
We
printed it.
started
and I-
at
We started.
I was here at 6:30 with
Oh,
Dave.
You know,
I was outside.
I was here waiting for the chairman.
Okay,
yeah.
That's right.
We were gonna blame you, we decided to blame Mark instead. I don't
Oh,
know.
there you
It was
go.
weird.
It is a second
We're
show.
just getting it all
So,
today.
what?
Are you gonna give that information to the select board so they can put it into the slide deck so we don't have to?
Yes, yeah, he'll.
Yeah. Yeah,
The votes, thank you.
Exactly, yes.
So
Yeah.
put that into with the motion.
I've done that in the past.
Yes.
Trying to
But
start
they
a
don't
fight.
always get it in there. Now we're like, we're really early enough with all the votes,
Yes.
so.
Yes, we don't have, so I'm gonna cancel next Tuesday's meeting.
Okay.
So you guys have that night off, unless you want to come here at 6:30 or 7, whatever. All right, advisory board meeting is adjourned. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, this was great, thank you, everyone.